Their distance is not rejection, it's their way of staying connected. It's their version of chasing, hidden behind silence, masked by control, disguised as indifference. But if you look closely, you'll see it, you'll feel it. Because when an avoidant cares, they don't step forward, they freeze, they hesitate. They linger in the spaces where you used to exist. They hover in your world quietly, afraid that one wrong move will expose what they truly feel. So they do what they've always done. They protect their heart by pretending not to have one. But the truth is, their distance is not empty. It's full of questions they'll never ask, full of words they'll never say, full of longing they don't know how to show. You think they walked away, but they didn't. Not really. Their body might have left, but their mind never did. They check your posts. They reread your messages. They replay the sound of your voice in their head. They remember the smallest details, like the way you laughed, the way you breathed before saying something real, the way you looked at them like you saw right through the walls they built. And that terrifies them, because deep down they know no one has ever seen them like that before, and no one ever will again. So they do the only thing they know how to do. They retreat, they watch, they think, they pretend. But that pretending is their chase. Because if they didn't care, they wouldn't need to hide at all. They stay quiet not because they've moved on, but because silence feels safer than vulnerability, and avoidance feels easier than honesty. They chase by keeping their distance, by making sure they still exist in your world, even when they can't bring themselves to say your name. Their version of reaching out is restraint. Their form of connection is control. They stay close enough to feel your energy, but far enough to keep their heart from breaking. And that balance between wanting and fearing is where they live. It's how they survive love. It's how they chase it without ever admitting they are. When an avoidant misses you, they don't say it. They act it out through absence. They appear in indirect ways. They'll like an old post. They'll show up where you are. They'll ask mutual friends how you're doing. They'll wear the same perfume or listen to the same song, because those small pieces of familiarity keep them connected to you without demanding vulnerability. It's how they touch you without touching you. How they say, "I still care," without using a single word, because words expose them, and exposure feels like danger. So they build distance to feel safe, not realizing that safety is what keeps them lonely. And here's the thing, that distance hurts them too. They'll never admit it, but it does, because avoidance isn't strength. It's fear disguised as self-control. It's pain hidden behind logic. It's love that's never fully expressed, because expression feels like surrender. And they don't know how to surrender without feeling like they'll lose themselves. So they hold back. They pretend they don't care. They convince themselves that they're fine. But their body betrays them. Their thoughts betray them. Their sleepless nights betray them. Because love doesn't disappear just because you deny it. It grows louder in the quiet. It becomes an ache that sits inside their chest. And that ache is their chase. They might even convince themselves that distance is strength, that by pulling away, they're proving something. But what they don't realize is that the more they distance, the more attached they become. Because energy doesn't vanish when two souls connect. It lingers, it pulls, it tugs, it reminds them of what they're trying to forget. And they can feel it everywhere, in songs, in random dreams, in moments of stillness where your energy shows up uninvited, reminding them of what they pushed away. And it's in those moments that they start to realize that distance doesn't protect them. It isolates them. That love doesn't fade in silence. It intensifies, and that running isn't freedom, it's self-imprisonment. They keep tabs without reaching out. They look for signs that you're okay. They notice when your energy shifts. They feel when your attention fades, and it stings. They'll never tell you that, but it stings deeply because you used to reach out. You used to fill the gap with reassurance, and now that you've stopped, they feel the weight of their own emptiness. And that emptiness reminds them of what they've lost. So they do the only thing they know how to do. They stay distant but connected. They hover. They remain silently aware. They might not chase your presence, but they'll chase your memory. They'll keep you alive in their thoughts long after the connection has faded. Avoidants chase through silence because silence gives them control. It gives them the illusion of power. It allows them to feel like they're choosing distance instead of being consumed by love. But deep down, the truth is different. The silence is loud, it's restless, it's filled with emotions they can't name. They chase through denial, through observation, through the hope that maybe one day you'll reach again, that maybe one day you'll read their mind and see what their heart can't say. But love doesn't work that way, and when they realize that, it breaks them. Because for the first time, they see that the very thing they used to protect themselves from love is what destroyed it. They'll never say it out loud, but they miss you. They think about you more than they want to. They chase you every day in invisible ways, through thoughts, through memory, through energy. And that's the truth about avoidance. They don't chase you with their hands. They chase you with their silence. They don't chase you with their words. They chase you with their absence. They stay connected not through action, but through awareness. And though it may look like they've let go, they never truly do, because their distance is not the end. It's the way they hold on without getting caught. It's the way they love without being seen. It's the way they chase you in the only way they know how, quietly, painfully, and endlessly. Control is their form of care. It's their hidden way of managing love without drowning in it. It's the way they hold on without showing it, the way they love without admitting it. When they start caring, their first instinct is not to come closer. It's to tighten control, not because they want to manipulate you, but because love terrifies them. Vulnerability feels like chaos to them, and control gives them safety. It gives them a sense that they can handle what's coming, because in their mind, love and pain have always walked together, so control becomes their protection, their way of caring without getting hurt. It's their quiet attempt to manage what they can't emotionally handle, and that control shows up in ways you don't notice until you look deeper. When they start to care, they plan everything. They think before they text. They rehearse what to say. They watch how you react, not because they don't feel, but because they feel too much. They're trying to protect their heart from its own intensity. They want to care, but caring feels dangerous because it means losing the image of control they've built for years. So they do this dance, a slow, careful balancing act between wanting to connect and needing to stay safe. And that's why their version of chasing looks like distance. Their love feels like restraint. Their silence feels like peace on the outside, but chaos on the inside. And every time they pull away, it's not rejection, it's regulation. They're trying to calm the storm of emotions that loving you created inside them. They create boundaries not to keep you out, but to keep themselves from falling too far in. Every message they delay, every emotion they hide, every "I'm fine" they whisper through shaking hands is control. It's how they stay grounded. It's how they stop their heart from running ahead of their logic, because their logic tells them love isn't safe, and safety is everything to them. They grew up believing that needing someone meant weakness, that relying on others meant losing themselves. So now, when they start to care, they pull back, not because they don't feel the same, but because they feel it so deeply it scares them. Control becomes their way of breathing through it. They'll say things like, "I just need time," or "I'm not ready." But what they really mean is, "I'm scared of losing control." Because when they love, they feel vulnerable, and vulnerability feels like danger. Their body goes into defense mode. Their mind starts building distance to survive the intensity. And yet, behind that control is a heart that won't stop caring. They'll still check on you. They'll still think of you before bed. They'll still replay your laughter in their head when the world feels heavy. Because their control isn't coldness, it's caution. It's the barrier between what they show and what they feel. And sometimes, that control is the only way they know how to love. They'll organize their life to make sure they never feel too dependent. They'll keep busy, overwork, distract themselves, not because they don't care about you, but because if they stop moving, they'll feel everything. And that's what they're avoiding. They care so much that it overwhelms them. and their nervous system can't handle the weight of love that intense. So they do the only thing that feels familiar. They control, they manage, they retreat. But even in retreat, they think of you. They wonder how you are. They miss you quietly. They just won't let you see it, because showing you would mean admitting that they've lost control. And that's the one thing they can't do. You'll notice it if you pay attention, the way they subtly adjust things for you, the way they notice details without acknowledging them, the way they try to appear strong while their actions reveal care, like reminding you to rest, checking you got home safely, remembering what you said weeks ago. These aren't random gestures. They're evidence of hidden affection. They won't say, "I love you," easily, but they'll show it in the smallest ways, through structure, through responsibility, through making sure you're okay even when they're not. And that's what people misunderstand about avoidance. Their control isn't selfish, it's survival. It's how they love without losing their sense of safety. Sometimes that control hurts you because it feels cold. It feels like rejection. It feels like they're holding back love that's meant to flow. And you're right, they are. But not because they don't care, but because caring freely feels like chaos to them. It feels like stepping into a fire they can't put out. And they've spent their whole lives trying to keep the flames small, but love with you made it burn brighter. And they don't know how to handle that yet, so they build control to protect themselves from their own emotions. They control because love makes them feel powerless, and powerlessness feels like pain. And yet, deep down, they wish they could let go. They wish they could love openly the way you do. They wish they could tell you everything they feel without trembling inside. But the truth is, they don't know how, so instead, they love through care disguised as control. They'll give advice instead of comfort. They'll plan instead of express. They'll do instead of say. Because action feels safer than emotion, structure feels safer than surrender. And even though you might not see it, that's love. That's their version of it. And it's real. They'll never admit it. But control is the language they speak. When words fail, it's the way they show up without exposing their heart completely. It's how they say, "I love you," without saying it, by keeping your world safe while trying to keep their own from falling apart. And even though it might not look like chasing, it is. Because control is their pursuit, their quiet way of staying involved, their way of holding on when love feels too big, too unpredictable, too much. And someday, when they finally heal, they'll realize that they were never meant to control love, only to experience it. And by then, they'll understand that control was never protection. It was fear in disguise, and underneath that fear, there was always love, deep, unspoken, trembling, but real, waiting to be felt fully, waiting to be free. Their curiosity is hidden in observation. It's quiet, subtle, and constant. It's the way they stay emotionally close without ever saying a word. They notice everything, the tone of your voice, the way your energy shifts, the small details you think no one sees. Because even though avoidants appear detached, their minds never stop scanning for emotional cues. They are hyper-aware of the people they care about. They remember your patterns, your habits, your reactions, and they study them, not to control you, but to understand the parts of you they can't ask about directly. Observation is their safety net. It's how they stay connected without being exposed. It's how they love without crossing the line that vulnerability draws. When they care, they start paying attention in silence. They'll remember your favorite drink, the songs you skip, the way you pause before you speak when something's wrong. They'll notice if your text feels shorter, if your tone changes, if your smile doesn't reach your eyes anymore. But they won't ask, not because they don't want to know, but because asking feels dangerous. Asking requires them to show concern, and concern feels too much like closeness. So they keep it to themselves. They gather information quietly, piecing together your emotions like a puzzle they can only look at from a distance. And that's how they chase, by watching, by analyzing, by caring in secret. You think they don't notice when you pull away, but they do. They feel the shift immediately. Their body reacts before their mind admits it. They start checking your name more often. They revisit old conversations. They replay the last time things felt easy. wondering when it changed. Their curiosity turns into silent worry. They want to reach out, but fear freezes them. So instead, they look for clues. They stalk your social media. They ask mutual friends subtle questions. They observe from a safe emotional distance. Because that's all they can handle. Love makes them anxious. Uncertainty terrifies them. And curiosity becomes their way of maintaining control in a situation where they feel powerless. When they truly care, they can't help it. They start memorizing the smallest things about you. Not intentionally, but because you matter, your presence occupies space in their mind, even when they're trying to move on. And that's the truth they never say. Observation becomes obsession disguised as awareness. They know your routines. They know your triggers. They know what makes you laugh. And though they may never speak it aloud, it's there, every detail stored like proof that what they felt was real. Because avoidants need evidence of connection, and noticing becomes that evidence. Their curiosity becomes the thread that keeps them tied to you long after words have stopped. They notice when you start changing, when you become quieter, when you stop texting first, when you stop explaining yourself. They see it, they feel it, and it makes them restless because they realize you're detaching. And that's when their observation becomes more intense. They start checking your activity, reading between lines, wondering if you found someone new, wondering if you still think of them. They won't admit it, but curiosity consumes them. Because while they may appear calm, their mind is anything but. It's racing, questioning, hoping, fearing, all at once. That's their chase. It's invisible but emotional. It's distant but consuming. It's quiet but powerful. They'll listen to the songs you once shared just to feel connected again. They'll scroll through your pictures, pretending it's casual. They'll notice when you change your profile picture, when your energy shifts, when your words sound different. And they'll wonder what that means. They'll imagine scenarios in their head, trying to decode you, because avoidants hate uncertainty, and losing you created too many questions they can't answer. Observation becomes their only way to cope. It gives them something to hold on to, a false sense of closeness that doesn't require vulnerability. It's their emotional loophole, their way of staying close without confessing they still care. You'll never see them admit it, but their curiosity never fades. Even long after the connection ends, they'll still check in silently. They'll still think of you when something reminds them of your energy. They'll still wonder how you are when the nights get quiet. And that wondering is their form of emotional attachment. They may not say, "I miss you," but they'll prove it through the consistency of their awareness. They'll hold on to memories like anchors, replaying them to remind themselves that what you shared was real, because deep down, they're afraid that if they stop noticing, they'll lose you completely, and that thought terrifies them more than closeness ever did. Their curiosity isn't passive. It's emotional survival. It's their way of managing loss without falling apart. By keeping you alive in their awareness, they maintain a sense of connection. Even if it's one-sided, they chase by staying informed, by knowing just enough to feel safe, because not knowing feels like abandonment, and abandonment is their deepest fear. So they watch, they listen, they remember, they care in silence, they love in observation. They protect their heart by pretending they're just curious. But curiosity for them is attachment. It's love without language. It's feeling without exposure. And it's how they stay close when they can't handle being seen. They'll pretend they've moved on. They'll act detached. But their attention will betray them. Their curiosity will always find you in conversations, in coincidences, in moments that feel too familiar. Because once an avoidant feels a real connection, no amount of distance can erase it. They might not chase you through words or actions, but they'll chase you through awareness, through energy, through the quiet remembering that never leaves. And though you may never hear it, they'll always be watching, not out of obsession, but out of care, out of longing, out of love that's too heavy to hold, too fragile to expose, and too real to forget. When you finally pull away, when you stop chasing, when your silence replaces your effort, that's the moment their walls begin to crack. Because avoidants don't chase when you're near. They chase when you're gone. They don't realize what they had when it's given. They realize it when it's gone quiet. They feel the absence of your energy before they even understand what it means. At first, they'll act fine. They'll tell themselves they're relieved. They'll say they needed space. But deep down, something feels different. Something feels off because they were used to your presence, to your energy reaching for them, to your warmth filling their silence. And now that it's gone, it feels too still, too quiet, too empty. And that emptiness becomes unbearable. They start noticing the shift immediately. They notice that you're not reaching out. They notice that you don't check in anymore. They notice that your tone, your rhythm, your energy is missing from their life. And at first, they try to ignore it. They tell themselves it doesn't matter, that they're fine, that they wanted this. But avoidance is a mask, and masks always slip, because underneath that false peace, there's panic, there's longing, there's the ache of realization. And it starts small, in the spaces where your voice used to echo. In the mornings, when they don't see your message. In the evenings, when they scroll and stop on your name. Their body reacts before their pride catches up. Their heart skips before their ego builds another excuse. Because love, no matter how hard they fight it, doesn't just vanish. When you pull away, they start to feel the gravity of what they lost. And that's when the chase begins, not in words, not in open confessions, but in subtle actions that mean everything. They'll show up in ways that look like coincidence. They'll send a message that seems casual. They'll post something that feels like it's meant for no one, but it's meant for you. They'll start watching you again, checking if you still care. They'll test the waters to see if you'll respond. Because now they feel it, the shift, the imbalance, the loss of control. They don't know how to say, I miss you, but they'll find every way to show it without exposing their heart completely. Because avoidants don't chase directly. They chase through presence, through attention, through indirect attempts at connection. The moment you detach, you stop feeding the dynamic that kept them safe. You stop chasing. And suddenly, they're left with themselves. And that's when their fear turns into longing. Because the truth is, they always cared. They just didn't know how to express it. And now, your absence forces them to feel everything they were running from. They start thinking about the way you used to care, the messages you sent, the effort you made, and guilt creeps in, the awareness that they had something rare and real, but didn't know how to hold it. And that awareness becomes the quiet beginning of their pursuit, the slow awakening that makes them want to reach, not because they're ready, but because they can't stand the distance anymore. They'll pretend it's coincidence. But you'll feel their energy. You'll feel it when they pop up unexpectedly, when they mention your name through someone else, when they interact with something that connects back to you. Because avoidants chase emotionally first, not physically. Their chase begins with curiosity, with remembering, with nostalgia. They start craving the connection they once feared. They think about you more often. They recall your voice in random moments. And the more they fight it, the stronger it gets. They'll act like they don't care, but inside, they're breaking because love is energy, and energy doesn't fade when it's real. It lingers, it follows, it stays, and now they're feeling the echo of what they pushed away. When you were there, your energy made them feel safe, even when they didn't admit it, and now that it's gone, they realize how much stability it brought. They realize how much your love softened their walls. They realize that your presence made their life warmer, calmer, more human. And that realization starts to haunt them. They'll find themselves remembering small things. Your laughter, your eyes, your advice, the comfort in your silence. And that's when they start trying to get it back in small ways. They might message you out of nowhere. They might respond to something you post. They might ask something insignificant just to start a conversation. But every action, no matter how small, is a confession, a silent way of saying, I still care, without having to say it directly. You'll notice it, the way their energy changes, the way they start to show up more, the way their pride softens, just enough for you to see through it. That's their chase. It's not loud. It's not grand. It's subtle. It's hesitant. It's cautious. But it's real, because for them, chasing means risking. and risk terrifies them. Yet they do it anyway, not with the confidence of someone who knows how to love, but with the fear of someone who's realizing too late what love actually meant. They start responding faster. They ask about things they used to ignore. They remember details you thought they forgot, because now they're paying attention. Now they're trying in the only way they know how, indirectly, softly, silently, and even if they don't say it, they hope you'll notice. They hope you'll see the small signs and understand what they mean, because words are hard for them. Vulnerability feels like exposure, and exposure feels like danger. But the chase is there. It's in their eyes if you ever see them again. It's in their tone when they speak. It's in the awkward pauses where love almost escapes their mouth, but fear pulls it back. That's their hidden language. That's how they show interest when you're gone. They chase you by feeling you, by remembering you, by missing you quietly until the silence becomes unbearable. So when you pull away, they don't stop caring. They start realizing, they start reflecting, they start chasing in their own slow, trembling way. And even if they never say it, even if they never come back fully, deep down they know that the moment you detached was the moment they started to feel what you felt all along. That's when they understood the difference between freedom and loneliness, between control and connection, between fear and love. And from that day on, every silent step they take toward you, every glance, every small gesture, is their version of chasing, not with words, not with certainty, but with a heart that finally realizes what it means to lose something real.